Yeah. Yo, 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 yo.
Bro, chill out.
This is your boy G, and you have tuned in to the Shea Butter Podcast.
No, I told you 3 times that you weren't going to do that. We do not in any way, shape, or form endorse Shea Butter. Shea Butter don't sponsor us. Don't come near us. We don't want your products.
But I love Solange.
We don't. That should be a bumper sticker. I hate Shea Butter, but I love Solange.
Yo. This is your boy G, and this is the 9th episode of the Educated Black Siblings Podcast.
Wait, what episode?
9th.
We've done 9 of these.
Yeah, this is the 9th episode of the Educated Black Siblings Podcast, baby.
Man.
Holding it down. As I said, my name is G. Most people call me Gilbert. You can call me G. This is the EBS Podcast, episode number 9. To my left is my sister. Introduce yourself.
That's weird. Most people call me Gilbert, but not you. You can call me G. I don't know you well enough for you to call me by my government. Hey, y'all. What up, podcast people in podcast land? My name is Lindsay.
That's right. It is early in the morning, so we are on one today.
I'm sorry. Had a long week. You know what I hate?
What's that?
I hate that short weeks. I don't know if this is for everyone, but short weeks for me feel longer than like full 5-day weeks.
Because you just had that 3-day weekend, and now it's like you gotta suffer through these 4 days.
Suffer through these 4 days.
It's like next week is gonna be 5 whole days a week.
5 whole days a week. But it's like when it's a 5-day week, I know what I'm getting into. I know Monday's gonna suck, and then I just kind of roll with it.
I feel you.
But Tuesday, on Monday you kind of slouch when you have off, and then Tuesday you try to roll out of bed
Serum.
And it's the worst. Did you say truth serum?
Truth serum.
I don't think I like that.
Come on, I told you.
That's always bought. I'm not gonna get into this because I feel some kind of way about truth serums.
All right, no.
For the real, is that a thing?
For the first time listeners that are here today, this is the Educated Black Siblings Podcast. What we strive to do is to have dope conversations. That is it. The first thing that we're going to do when we jump in, we're going to talk about some serious-esque topics. And we're going to jump into what's going on in pop culture, more fun topics. We like to call it having a healthy dose of ratchet and righteous. Then at the end of every podcast, we have our top 5. Today we are doing our top 5 novels.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high.
Yes, y'all. But before we jump into it, just on a super serious note, we just want to continue to send our thoughts and prayers to those that are affected by both Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, man.
Because the weather is going bananas.
It's crazy. Hurricane season is not a joke.
Yeah, this is crazy, man. Like, I know Harvey was Cat 5, and now they're saying that Irma is the biggest hurricane that hit the East Coast, like, the last 80 years? So it's bananas, man.
And what's crazy about it is that there's, like, multiple coming. Like, they're not even done. Like, these bad boys are working up. There's a rapid concession coming through.
So I'm not saying that climate change caused the hurricanes. I'm not even saying I believe in climate change because I live in Texas and that's not a thing that we do in Texas, right? But do you know what causes a hurricane?
Do I know what?
Yes.
No.
It is.
Isn't it like warm water meeting something else?
That is
or
exactly
like air
what
pressure.
causes. That is exactly what causes
education.
A hurricane.
Let's go.
And the thing that trips me out, again, I'm not saying that climate change caused the hurricanes, but scientifically speaking, the Gulf is getting warmer, and a big hurricane just came out of it. That's all I'm saying.
You know what I will say?
What's that?
Hurricane Trump denies climate change.
Hurricane Trump.
So, better go ahead and put that out there.
So we're just gonna start with Trump.
I'm sorry. You know what's crazy? I went on a Trump fast, and I blocked his Twitter for a minute, and I finally, since November 8th, went like 2 days without thinking about that orange-headed man, and it was the best 2 days of my life.
So Trump comes to Texas, and he has a rally, and he says, great crowd. And then when asked about the rally, this dude says, yes, I talked to a lot of families in Texas, and they were very happy to see me.
Do you have to do the hands?
They were very happy to see me. They were very happy to see you, Trump.
They were happy to see you.
That's your soundbite for the victims.
I can't.
I met with the victims. They were very encouraged. They were very happy to see me.
He keeps talking about, man, it's the biggest we've ever seen. The biggest we've ever seen. Look at the numbers. look at the records. Why? Why?
Trump is the worst. This is the last time we're going to talk about Trump on the podcast. No more Trump on the podcast. Well, we have to talk about the Dream Act.
Oh God.
But then after that, we're not going to talk about Trump anymore.
We're never going to speak about him again.
Wait. But after the Dream Act, we've got to talk about North Korea. And
So
then
this
we're not
is going to be
about...
another Trump.
And then we're
cast.
going to not talk about Trump anymore.
So the entirety of our serious conversation.
Wait, but after we talk about Korea, we got to talk about his suits, and then I'm done. I'm done with the Trump after that.
Okay.
I'm serious.
I'm here. Let's just do it.
No
Let's
more
just knock
Trump.
it out. Are y'all with us? Because I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Do you know what the Dream Act is?
So in the simplest terms, to me, isn't it something that Obama put in place where if your parents were illegal immigrants, that you couldn't be like kicked out of the country or something like that?
So first and foremost, I was cautioned the other day that illegal immigrants is politically incorrect.
Okay.
I think we're supposed to say undocumented residents.
Sure.
But
My bad.
But yes, you are correct. So the Dreamer Act is it's the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Act, and it is something that Obama passed, and it has very, very interesting criteria for it. But it basically prevents people from being deported. There's about 800,000 people that are being protected by this currently, and I want you to pay attention to the criteria because I think that they're important. Mm-hmm. In order to be deferred from deportation, you have to have come to the United States before your 16th birthday. You have to have lived in the United States continuously since 2007. And you have to have been physically present in the United States in 2012. And you have to have not been convicted of any felony or misdemeanors. And you have to have completed high school and or have been honorably discharged from the armed services. Yeah. So the reason I point out those criteria is because this is for a very specific group of people. Yeah. And it's for people that, by and large, are contributing positively to
they're
society.
Positive citizens.
What's interesting about it is, I don't know. So Obama said something about it, and I think that it's the best way to kind of summarize it.
Miss you, Barack.
We do miss Barack. Did you see it? The tweet that he put out?
Yeah.
He said, they were brought to this country by their parents, sometimes as infants. They may not know any country besides ours. They may not know a language besides English. They have no idea that they're undocumented until they apply for a job, college, or driver's license. Whatever complaints Americans have about immigration in general, we shouldn't threaten the future of this group of young people who are here through no fault of their own, who pose no threat, and who are taking nothing away from the rest of them. Kicking them out won't lower the unemployment rate or lighten anyone's taxes or raise anyone's wages. And that's kind of what struck a chord with me, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we harp on people that like snuck into the country, came here via legal means, and like we got to get these people out of here. The 800,000 people that are protected by this particular act were brought to this country not on their own volition, and they were raised in this country, and this is the country that they know, right? Yeah. And so Trump is trying to do away with this particular act. And I'm gonna say a couple of things that are interesting to me, and then I'll be quiet, right? So a lot of times when people talk about illegal immigration, the first thing that they talk about is crime. So this is the wrong group of people to target because one of the criteria, and they have to renew this every 2 years, right? One of the criteria for being protected under this act is that you're not a criminal. So you're not accomplishing that goal, right? The other one is the economy, which is interesting to me because I like numbers, so I did some numbers, right?
Show me the numbers, bro.
These people are the people that are protected under the Dreamers Act are people that are currently employed, right? Which means that they're paying taxes. So if we were to get rid of all 800, let's just say tomorrow we were able to send all 800,000 back to their home countries, we would be losing $280 billion over the next decade in fiscal taxes.
That's insanity.
We'd be losing $24.6 billion over the next decade in Social Security and Medicare. We would reduce the United States GDP by $433 billion over the next 10 years. Because the group of people that you're targeting are positively contributing to our society.
It just pisses me off. Like the argument doesn't fit. It's like, don't get me wrong. I think if you're going to come to this country, then you need to go through the proper channels in order to do so. But if these are people that were born here or taken here when they were not born here, but they were brought here by their parents when they were infants. They have no control over this, and they're actually contributing. Like, we have actual natural-born Americans that are contributing to, like, positively as citizens. So these people are out here working hard, making a living, who only know the American way. We're saying, no. Because your parents made this decision to better your life, we're going to go ahead and send you back to a place you don't know. I think that is insanity.
So do you know what happens to an undocumented resident that commits a felony in the United States or a violent crime?
Undocumented?
Yeah. An illegal alien.
No, do they get deported?
No, they go to jail.
Do they really?
Yeah, they go to jail. They go to jail, and then when they serve their sentence, guess what happens in most cases?
What happens?
They get released.
Like back into America?
Deportation is not an automatic thing when you commit a crime in the United States, which is interesting because you could go into the state prison system of the United States right now, and if you're Donald Trump, excuse my Donald Trump point, we want to get rid of the bad hombres, right? Like you said, right? That's what he wanted to do, right?
Yes.
He could go into Texas state prison system right now, and he could say everyone that is in this country illegally that committed a violent crime, we're going to deport you. But he doesn't do that. You want to know why?
Why?
Because state prisons make money.
Oh.
Right? That's funny,
there
right?
It is.
Like,
there it is. We need them.
Like, it's, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. This is not accomplishing any of the goals that you have for immigration. So I wanted to figure out what Trump felt about this act. So I went to his Twitter.
Of course.
And I was confused because he said, for all those that are concerned about your status,
I hate him.
you have nothing to worry about.
I hate him.
No action. So now I'm confused, Trump.
I hate him.
What's going on? What are we doing? Are we getting rid of the Dreamers Act or... So basically what he's done is he has given Congress 6 months to come up with a better thing. And he says that if we're not done with the better thing by March, I'm going to start rolling back the Dreamers Act. So he's doing the exact same thing that he did with healthcare. He's saying, hey, I really, really don't like this thing, but I want you guys to come up with something that's the same thing that I can put my name on.
But here's my question. This may sound dumb or be real liberal, but I don't know. But what's the issue? Like reading the criteria, these people are not, like, they're literally not harming our society in any way. Are they? Am I missing? So, like, what is the point? Like, why are they the ones? Is it just to make a statement? Is it just to say that you're helping clean up, quote unquote, our country? Like, what is the actual purpose? This
is not a this can't be proven. So this is me with my tinfoil hat on.
Go ahead.
The way that, so if you really wanted to target people that are not benefiting our society or people that are bringing our society down, you would target those that are in the country illegally that are doing illegal things, right?
Yeah.
But those people are hard to find and track down.
True.
These 800,000 people are registered. You know that they're in the country illegally by no fault of their own, but you know that they're in the country and they're not citizens.
Yeah.
And they have to come to you and say, I'm registered, I want to stay here. So it's a big win for him numbers wise because he could say, got 200,000 people out. It's just easy. It's the path of least resistance for him.
But why is it always about the numbers? That's my thing. Like, why is it always trying to make
Donald Trump told y'all he was a businessman.
But why is he?
He's all about the metrics.
Donald, you won. Stop trying to prove yourself. We don't need it.
I won because I'm a winner.
Put your tiny hands away. Okay. I'm done with you, Donald Trump.
Okay.
Done. Dunzo. Dunsies.
But yeah, so I'm I want to say I feel bad, but it's like I feel sympathy for those that are affected by this. I hope that Congress wisens up and does something to either prevent or, as Donald Trump says, to fix this situation. But
let's fix him.
I'm just kind of over the whole we're gonna spend the next 10 months trying to undo what the last president did thing. Like, it's just kind of old.
I mean. But to be fair, like, this always happens.
It does.
Like, it always, like, whenever there is a shift from Republican to Democrat, this always happens. And, like, in the first year, it's all about undoing whatever thing, which I think is a detriment to our country. Like, I feel like you should give things time to work. or give things time to flourish before we decide. Just because I'm not politically affiliated with this party, I'm not going to agree with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that everybody should be able to say, hey, you know, the Republicans say some really, like, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a helpful thing. Hey, the Democrat, like, I think working across the aisle should be something that we strive for, but people care more about titles and money and status and power than I think they actually do about helping Americans. And I think that's the problem. And that's how we ended up where we are right now.
That's true.
But whatevs, man.
It's football season.
Oh, you know, Baylor's playing today. Playing UTSA.
We're going to lose.
It's going to be a long season.
It's okay. Sick 'em Bears.
But I still love that good old Baylor line.
So, Colin Kaepernick.
Okay, football.
So, you wanted to talk about Colin Kaepernick.
I did.
What's going on?
I think it's important.
I like his afro.
His afro what's the word I'm looking for? Voluptuous.
Voluptuous?
There it is.
You just described a man's afro as voluptuous. Okay. What about Colin Kaepernick, though?
All right, so we all know, well, if you don't know about Kaepernick was a quarterback for the 49ers, okay? And he decided last year that in lieu of all of the uprise or the national attention of police brutality against people of color, that he was going to, when they played the national anthem at the beginning of games, that he was going to take a knee. He was going to sit down during the national anthem. And what's crazy about this is he had done this for a while until people kind of started catching on and got mad and upset and said it was disrespectful. And as you know, it's kind of snowballed into this huge major thing. Personally, I feel a certain kind of way about Kaepernick and what he's doing. I don't have a problem with him kneeling. I think that's fine. I was mad that he didn't vote. I think that's dumb to not vote. But other than that, you know, kneel, boo, stand up for it. The reason that I brought it up is that something interesting happened this past week. There's been multiple other players and staff members and trainers, whatever, throughout the league that have also decided to start kneeling like Kaepernick did, to take a stand or whatever. But something that was interesting to me is that I think it was in Baltimore? I don't remember where it was. I need to double check. But there were police that were like Cleveland, there it is. The police chief or whoever in Cleveland, they were like, hey, we are not going to send people to hold up the flag before the game, like police officers. Like, we're not going to do it. Like, if they're going to disrespect the flag and not stand for it, then we refuse to hold up the flag before the game. And I thought,
isn't that disrespectful to the flag?
In my head, I was like, I feel like that's the most hypocritical thing you could possibly do. Like, you're going to not hold up the flag? Like, I don't understand.
I don't like talking about this situation because it annoys me. I think Trevor Noah had the best synopsis when he was arguing with Tommy Lauren. He said, He said, you don't like it when black people protest with signs. Mm-hmm. You don't like it when black people are loud and they speak out. You don't like it when a black person kneels silently to himself in a corner and doesn't bother anybody. Yet we're supposed to have freedom of speech and the freedom to peaceably protest.
Yeah.
So if I can't march. I can't be loud about it.
Be quiet.
I can't use my platform to talk about it.
No.
Shut up, you're an athlete. Just talk about sports.
Just only sports.
I can't just kneel and be quiet to myself in the corner.
I don't. It's the most ridiculous thing.
How am I supposed to express my... I don't understand.
It's the most ridiculous thing. I just don't understand. What should we do?
But the Bennett brothers in the NFL are also, they've also been very outspoken, and it's going to be much more difficult for the NFL because the Bennett brothers are actually good. Now, I'm not saying that Colin Kaepernick isn't good, but Colin Kaepernick is a backup quarterback, so they can get Colin Kaepernick up out of here.
Yeah.
But the Bennett brothers those are Pro Bowl players. Yeah. They're going to play. And what's interesting is Roger Goodell came out in support.
And that, oh my gosh, it's like, go ahead.
So he wisened up a little bit. So, but anyway, I don't know, man. Well wishes to Colin, man. I hope that he's able to get a job.
I do too. I think that he's being penalized for that.
I think that it's better for the movement that he doesn't have a job, though.
I mean, it is,
because I think that if he had gotten a job quickly, we would have stopped talking about it, right?
Yeah.
And this sucks to say, but like when you take a stand, there is a price to pay for your stand, and that is the price that he's paying for his stand. But again, I hope that he's able to get a job, and I hope that the police stop killing black people.
Don't we all?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Fantastic.
That'd be nice. Did you hear about the police officer that made that joke when he pulled the lady over? he was like, reach for your wallet, and then she said something like, I'm afraid, and he said, don't you know we only kill black people?
kill black people, right? Like,
Man.
what are you worried about? You're not black? Man, I cannot.
So he was clearly joking.
I have an issue with this.
Right.
So this has happened before. So we're black. I don't know about...
We are black.
We are black.
We are educated. We are black, and we're
brothers.
Siblings.
We're happy and we're singing. I'm sorry. So anyways, I don't know about y'all, but whenever I've only been pulled over twice, but anytime I get pulled over, like black people naturally, you feel some kind of way, and you want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row because unfortunately, because of our society, like you don't know how that interaction might play out. But I have a problem when police officers try to do that awkward dry humor / sarcasm when they pull you over. It's like, I already am on edge. I don't need you being sarcastic. I don't need you over here making jokes trying to make me feel more comfortable. Like, I don't. Like, I recently got a speeding ticket, and the officer was like making these weird comments about, haha, you're over there speeding, doing this and that, or whatever, like, had me nervous. It's like, no, you have me nervous, or you shouldn't be nervous. You have a gun. Like, why are you nervous? I'm literally just a female trying to drive and get home.
Yeah, I'm not trying to defend the police officers, but I imagine that is a for police officers that are not racist, because that's a very, well, I hope that is a very small percentage of police officers.
Yeah.
I imagine that it is a very tense time for them, because they pull over this black person and they're like, I know that this black person is afraid of me.
Yeah.
I need to try to diffuse this situation somehow, right? So, but I'm with you. I don't like
But in that situation, the woman was not black.
No, she was not.
She was all the way not black. That was just poor. And I think it's funny that it's like literally all documented on his .cam. I would love to just watch some like police dash cam footage.
Yeah, he's...
Just to see the nonsense that they're out here talking about sometimes.
He's the most.
That guy's the most.
What happened with him?
I think they put him on administrative leave for right now. I mean, I don't think he should lose his job over it, but that was just a poor choice of words, sir. You knew what you were doing. It was terrible, but that's what triggered me, is like, who saw that and released it? Like, that's what I want to know, because it literally was from his dash cam. So who was the one that was like, or who has that job to go through the footage and be like, this is a little bit in poor taste.
Yeah, so I looked it up, and he's actually going to lose his job.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Update.
Which is that actually, I wasn't upset about this, but that makes me upset, because there are people that have actually killed black people that
didn't lose their job.
That did not lose their job.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous. You lose your job for joking about killing black people, not killing black people.
Oh.
That's hilarious. But in a not hilarious kind of way, like in the
worst kind of,
like in like
real life,
like, wow,
oh my god kind of way.
That is insane.
Well, insane in the membrane.
It is insane in the membrane.
I hate it.
Yes. Yeah. What else is going on in the world, man?
Lots of stuff going on in the world. You said you want to talk about North Korea.
I don't actually want to talk about North Korea.
Oh, no?
It's a terrifying situation.
Okay. We ain't got to bring it up.
Donald Trump is terrifying.
Okay.
So much to the fact that, like, so usually with the past two presidents, so Bush and Obama, first of all, like, China would never take a side. I mean, they always support North Korea, but they weren't very outspoken about anything in this conflict. They've come out. Vladimir Putin yesterday came out and basically begged Donald Trump to stop talking to Kim Jong-un this way, because he's just going to keep escalating his provocations. And people have to understand that Kim Jong-un just doesn't want what happened to Saddam Hussein to happen to him. He doesn't want America to come in and try to topple his regime. So that's why he's trying to increase his it's a deterrent. Kim Jong-un is not an idiot. Like, he's not going to shoot a nuclear missile at Guam or at Japan, because he knows that the moment that he does that, his country will be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants to prevent Americans from invading his country and trying to overthrow him.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, is ridiculous. There's a whole philosophical debate about that type of situation that we can talk about next podcast. I don't want to.
Cool.
I don't want to do it today, man. Well, the reason I don't want to do it today is because Cardi B is
oh my god
#1 in the Hot
Cardi.
100. Good job, lady.
Congrats, Cardi. Make them money moves, boo.
Yes.
Make them.
So I heard that there is a possibility that Cardi B and Remy Ma will do a song together.
And Remy Ma?
And Remy Ma. Their styles are very, very different.
I don't know. I don't want to say this. Remy Ma has fans. They seem like they're aggressive. I don't know how I feel about Remy Ma.
You don't know how you feel about Remy Ma?
Like her rap-wise. Like, don't get me wrong. When Sheether dropped, I was there for it. But I was mostly just there for, like, the shade and the fact that she came with, like, 8 minutes of bars.
So Remy Ma had an unfortunate situation in that she dropped. So she was a part of the Terror Squad, and Remy Ma is a really good MC. 9 years ago, she dropped a song called "Conceited," did really, really well on the charts, and then Fat Joe did "Lean Back." She had a dope verse on "Lean Back," and then she shot somebody. So she went to jail. But her trajectory was like, Remy Ma is a really good rapper. Mm-hmm. Like, she raps really, really well. So yeah, man, I don't know. She's doing her thing. So
as of right now, I support Cardi B and all that she does. So I'm there for it, Cardi. Cardi, whatever you do, I'm there with you, boo.
Are you there for Cardi B for the spectacle?
No,
or because you like her music?
Both. Like, so I was introduced to Cardi B as a personality, and I loved Cardi B. Then I realized that she rapped, and I was like, okay. But the more that I saw of her as an individual, the more that made me like her music. But that's kind of how I am with a lot of people. Like, I'll watch somebody on The Breakfast Club that I don't listen to their music, but depending on their interview, that'll make me go check them out. So that's kind of what happened with Cardi. And I was kind of like, oh, she's got some bops. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so
the thing that makes me mad is that a lot of people will say that her music is trash or whatever, but I say the same thing to them that I say when people say that about the Migos or Future, right? It's like, you really should not be comparing the Migos and Futures to Kendrick Lamar as two different types
styles
of rap.
Music, yeah.
Like, Cardi B is in the Migos lane of female rap. Like, she makes turn-up rap music, and she's good at it.
And she's doing it just as well, if not better, than the other people that are doing it.
So it's like she's on par. I believe that she's on par with the males in her lane. And that's why I think that the Remy Ma collaboration is a little weird. I'd never put those two together. But it could be interesting. So we'll
I mean,
see.
Remy might just be trying to jump on the train to get some hype around her.
Remy, I think, sees all of the subliminal shots that Cardi B has been throwing at Nicki Minaj as of late. And I think that even if they don't diss Nicki Minaj on the song, them making a song together is
a diss
in and of itself. But I said this on our very, very first podcast 9 episodes ago. That I'm really, really excited about the state of female hip hop. The fact that we have 3 prominent female hip hop artists to talk about is fantastic.
I don't even consider Nicki Minaj hip hop anymore.
You don't?
Nicki, when you drop whatever you're about to drop, you better come correct. You hear me? Do not give us this pop dilly that Nicki Minaj is like. Oh, I'm not gonna say that.
Say it. The barbs ain't gonna come from you.
They will. Nicki Minaj is literally like the Black Taylor Swift. Like, Nicki, don't be fake. Like, don't claim to be the greatest MC. Nicki's out here spitting Donald Trump stuff, talking about my records. Look at me, I'm on the charts. It's like, no, boo boo, come correct. Like, yeah, you may have these records. Yeah, you may be the number one this and that, but come through. Like, these are on features. Like, come through and bring bars. Like, Cardi B went and chased that spot on her dang own and got it. Like, I want you to come through, Nicki.
I think Nicki went back and changed her album
because
she was
about to drop. Yeah,
there was a moment earlier in the year where it felt like she was gearing up for her rollout.
Yeah,
and then Sheether dropped, and then after that, it felt like she was still kind of gearing up for the rollout. And then Bodak Yellow started doing what Bodak Yellow was doing, and it feels like she was like, no. I think she was doing a lot of singing on this album, and she can't. She said, we got to go to the booth and get some bars.
She can't, and that makes me excited, but I've been excited and let down by Nicki Minaj before. So, Nicki, come correct. Don't sit here. Don't play games. Make money moves.
So I can't think of her name, so I'll either tweet it out or I'll talk about it on the next podcast. There's another female. I mean, there's No Name Gypsy. No Name Gypsy is dope.
Is it Leaky like a who?
Is that the one I was listening to on
47
Spotify the other day? Yeah.
I don't know, but
there's a lot of dope female artists that are coming out.
She came out. I listened to her a couple years ago, and my best friend literally texted me last night. He's like, "You need to check out this girl's album," but I can't pronounce her name. But it is spelled. Hold on. It is spelled Leikeli 47. I can't remember how to say her name, but like she came out with another album and she raps and she's hot fire.
That's what's up. So we'll have to do some sort of spotlight of female hip hop artists. You guys keep on the lookout. The Educated Black Siblings is gonna start dropping Spotify playlists of songs that we like for y'all to check out, and we can get into dope conversations about them.
Be extra lit.
Speaking of dope conversations about music, I discovered a new artist all by myself that nobody had ever told me about before.
Here we go.
And his name is Daniel Caesar.
You can pack your things and leave, sir. I'm so sick of you.
And his album.
I'm so sick of you.
My goodness.
Did
you listen to the album?
Our faithful podcast listeners, you know that a solid 18 some odd weeks ago on the first podcast, my song suggestion to you was indeed by Daniel Caesar.
All right, you've been on Daniel Caesar for a minute.
And Gilbert was like, "Oh, dude, it's cool. It's cool. He just sounds sad." Then the album drops, and Gilbert's like, "Oh my God, who is this?"
I thought it was, when I heard Japanese Denim, I thought it was Blue Eyed Soul, so I was kind of off of it.
No,
I did not realize that he was melanated, but
he was melanated.
This album is I didn't like Japanese Denim.
Which Japanese Denim was my suggestion. That's a weaker of his songs, but he didn't really have that big of a catalog yet.
The album is really good.
It's fantastic.
He's in it, like he was finding some really cool pockets on those songs, and he rides that offbeat snare like as good as anybody.
Yeah.
Like, and what he reminds me of is don't take this blasphemously, R&B fans, but he reminds me, like, his bop reminds me of a new age Music Soul Child. Like,
okay.
His vocal qualities, like the tonations that he uses, and even some of his cadences sometimes on some of those songs is like. But I listened to that album several times. This is gonna sound like I'm hype beasting it, but I'm not. But I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars just because there hasn't been a male like R&B album that I've really, really liked in a while. Mm-hmm. It's like I really like Black's project, but he's more that Tory Lanez, Bryson Tiller, Party Next Door, like all.
I don't like any of that. By the way,
all R&B. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But this is the closest thing to like neo soul R&B, like I said, Music Soul Child type of music that we have right now. Other than Miguel.
Miguel, where you at, bro?
He just dropped a song.
Did he really?
Yeah, Miguel just dropped a song. But anyway, how did you feel about the Daniel Caesar album?
Oh, I loved it. Now I'm not gonna, like I said, like I think your rating is good, 4 out of 5. But there's some songs in there that I'm like, eh.
There were maybe three skippable songs.
Past songs, but first off, "Get You" is, I just love that song. And I know that song blew up recently, but it's fantastic. And what's the Roses song? I can't even think about it. But there's a song in here.
New Roses. Transgressor song. That song, the harmonies on that song.
The harmonies in that song, good Lord. I love it. Like, y'all should check it out. It's fantastic. I love that boy.
And y'all know that I'm all about the lyrics. And it's like this CD is actually narratively sound. Like, he's taking you on a journey through not only his life, but I don't know if it's a real relationship, but there is, if you want to make connections between the songs, it sounds like it's about the progression of a relationship. Yeah. Where he messed up, obviously, but the album sounded really, really good. I love the song with her. Her. First of all, do you know that there's a him?
Did you know that there's a they?
Did you know that there's a they? I'm over it. Y'all gotta stop.
Can you explain to the people before they think we're crazy?
I'm done with y'all. Like, no. I can't. But anyway, did you have anything else on Daniel Caesar?
No, I loved it. I forgot to mention the Her collaboration. I think I mentioned Her on the podcast too. But this summer for me, I was all about the R&B, and I like that R&B is having like this new resurgence almost. I like that. That's not that Bryson Tiller, Tory Lanez song.
But I like that one too. Black is amazing.
I haven't like really fully listened to Black.
Listen to a song by Black called Free. I'll put it on the EBS playlist.
Hey, let's go.
So 2K is about to drop.
Yeah.
Did you play the
2K.
prelude? Excuse me.
I did actually for a little bit. It felt weird.
It did. They changed the controls quite a bit, but it's all good. I'm kind of over the career mode thing. Like this year's story is doing the most. You start off as like a retired DJ, and you play in the park to win your chance to play for an NBA team. Like it's ridiculous.
But I'm excited. Career mode is literally the only mode of 2K that I play because it's fun. I like the idea of creating your own character.
I do too.
And watching him level up.
I don't like being forced into a narrative though.
I mean, the story part of it is kind of weird, but I like it. I'm on board with it. You can be mad. I'm going to play it regardless.
It's all good. They added a story to My GM this year, so I'm kind of hoping that they didn't ruin it. But, so are you going to buy it?
Yeah, I'm going to buy it.
All right. Dope. If for whatever reason you were going to decide not to buy it and you wanted to get it for free for 30 days, you could do that by going to www.gameflyoffer.com/EBS podcast. That's right. If you go to www.gameflyoffer.com/EBS podcast, you can get a 30-day trial of GameFly. GameFly is an awesome service. It's kind of like Netflix. You tell them what game you want. They send it to your house. You send it back when you're done with it. They send you another one. You can get a free trial for 30 days. No commitment, no nothing. You can cancel it at the end of 30 days if you don't like it. And you can help the podcast out by doing that. So once again, that's www.gameflyoffer.com/EBS podcast.
That's with the sponsors.
Yeah, EBS sponsorships. So there are a lot of like movie book adaptations going on because it just came out.
It did come out. Are you gonna go see it?
I'm not gonna go see it. No,
I didn't see the original yet.
Yep.
I really, really want to go see this yet, but I don't know why. Like I don't know why. I think
you like horror movies,
but I don't like horror movies. I do, but I don't. Like I'm super scary. Like I don't know why I think this is gonna go well for me. And I'm trying to convince all of my friends, and everybody's like, "No, we don't want to see this."
So Stephen King is a creepy writer, so it's probably creepy.
It is. It's like I hear the book is absolutely horrifying, and I'm gonna be there, popcorn in hand, jumping, yelling, screaming.
What is your favorite recent book, movie, TV adaptation?
Recent? I wish that I had read Gone Girl. Mm-hmm. I didn't read Gone Girl, but
movie.
That movie is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine how that would have felt reading it and seeing kind of how that played out. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you should either read or watch Gone Girl. So I think that one was really done well. What about you?
I could imagine going back to Gone Girl. Oh, I can't say what I'm about to say without spoiling the movie.
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
But it's like I feel like it probably played out better in the book because you could see the internal monologues. But yeah, you guys should check out Gone Girl. My favorite recent book adaptation is the Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones, obviously.
That makes sense.
I'm trying to think what else there is that's recently come out that is adapted from.
I know one that was terrible that still makes me mad to this day. The Lovely Bones. Ooh. So The Lovely Bones was a book that I read when I was in high school that my friend randomly had during like a state testing day, and I read that book in like one sitting and loved it. Like it's heavy, but it was written like it was fantastic. And then they announced that they were going to come out with a movie. I'm like, I'm there for it. That movie was hot trash, like a steaming pile of doo-doo.
Do you know what's good that I haven't seen The Lovely Bones, nor have I read the book. Wait, is that the one with the ice?
Yes.
Oh, I have seen that movie. It was really bad.
The movie was terrible. The book is fantastic.
I have seen that movie.
It's fantastic, but like the premise, it doesn't
really
make sense.
Bad.
It was god awful. And Marky Mark
you
was in there.
recommended that to me, I think.
I recommended the novel.
That was really
I
bad.
would never recommend that movie to anyone.
Oh man, Floyd Mayweather beat Conor McGregor, but that has nothing to do with book adaptations.
But Mayweather can't read, right?
Bruh.
So, unfortunate for him, he can't read, so we can get that boy an audiobook or something.
Yes, queen. So, did I just say yes? Did I just say yes, queen
yes,
on the podcast? Shout out to Xavier. He put that in my spirit. Also, shout out to everybody. I forgot to do this. Shout out to everybody that has been listening, following, interacting with us. Shout out to @DVanglorious for sharing the podcast all the time. I appreciate that. Continue to interact with us, guys. You can hit us up at the EBS or at EBS Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook page coming soon. So back to the adaptation thing. One genre that I don't think gets credit for being book adaptations are the Marvel movies. So comic book is a compound word. Yes. Comic and book. It is a book. They are book adaptations.
This is true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. They are good.
I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 the other day.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I didn't. It was all right. I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't like super thrilled with it either. But it was a good movie. It was entertaining. So that's what a movie is supposed to be at the end of the day, right? So.
I saw that movie in 3D and IMAX. So that movie was a experience from my eyes. But it was okay.
So, but yeah, so my favorite right now is definitely Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
I think still at some point we're gonna have to have a mini pod where we talk about Game of Thrones.
We may have to do that.
If y'all out there, podcast people, if you if you watch Game of Thrones, if Game of Thrones is something you enjoy, or if you read Song of Ice and Fire, and you would be interested in hearing that, hit us up. Let us know, because we like to talk about Game of Thrones. And we could actually dive all up in it, like dive deep, because we've got to wait like 2 whole years.
Are you
for the next season?
Are you reading anything right now?
Kind of. I'm in the middle of a book club with my school, but I did just finish Shonda Rhimes' The Year of Yes.
Oh, nice.
And that was fantastic, and I've kind of tried to shape my life this past year around that. So that's been fun. That's been fun. How about you?
So I just finished a book called A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy.
Okay.
By William Irvine. I told you I was
Stoic Joy.
I was the Stoic philosophers. I've been studying the Stoic philosophers. It was a really good book. So I enjoyed it.
That's good. How do you have time to read all these books, Gilbert? You're doing the most.
So that's an interesting question. So this one in particular, I didn't read. I listened to it in my car.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you absorbed the words.
No, I did not absorb it using osmosis. I listened to it in the car using audiobooks, using a service called Audible. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Have you used it before?
I have.
Awesome. So the book that I listened to, do you enjoy the service?
Audible? I love Audible.
So I love Audible also because they sponsor the podcast.
What?
Yes.
So, sponsor alert.
So the book that I actually got for free as a part of Audible's free trial, which you also can take advantage of if you go to www.audibletrial.com/EBS podcast. Once again, that's www.audibletrial.com/EBS podcast. They give you a free book credit with the trial. So that means that you get to keep that book forever, even if you cancel the trial. So it's this trial is worth it just to go get a free book. Yeah. Even if you don't like the service, you still get a free book. But the service also happens to be awesome. So you guys can get a free book and help out the podcast, help us get better equipment, do better advertising, pay for our hosting, all that stuff.
Just be better. Yeah. And it's like legit a free book. Like they don't make you choose from like a section of
whatever audio book you want.
It's literally whatever book you want. So I think that's real cool.
Speaking of books.
Books on books on books.
Books on books on books.
On books on books.
We're doing our top 5 today.
Ay.
No, we're not going to make pages
clap. Make them pages clap.
No.
Make them pages clap. My best friend bought me a tote bag that says, twerk a book and make them pages clap. That makes me laugh.
I don't think that's really a thing.
A reading teacher. The bag is literally sitting right over there. So, but yeah, man. Top 5 this week are going to be our top 5 favorite books or book series. Gilbert and I read a lot. Like, we consume literature. I literally teach English to children. Like, we read a lot, and we have always been well read, I guess. So this is going to be exciting for us. If you don't read, hit us up and let us know why you don't read, if that's something that you don't do.
If you don't read, don't hit me up. If you tell me why you don't read. I don't. I'm not. I am a not reading bigot. How about that?
Tell me more.
I don't want to hear why you don't read. I don't care. You just sit over there. And you sit over there and you don't read.
Dang. Floyd is talking to you.
So My number 5. I'm gonna jump right into
Oh,
the
go
book.
ahead, jump into it.
My number 5 is a book called. This list was hard for me, so I don't even know if this is really my top 5 favorite books. But these are top 5 books that I really, really like that I wish other people would read, so we can talk about them. So my top 5 is, or my number 5 in my top 5 is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I can't say his last name. I'm sorry.
Is that book that mom was like
I did give that
begging?
book to mom.
Or it was you? Okay.
Yeah, I gave that book to mom. But so that book it's a really, really good book. It is fiction. All of the books on our list today are fiction. The Alchemist is a fictional book, but it's basically a parable. I hate to sound cliche, but this book actually did like spur a change in my life. Like this is the book that led me down the path of looking into mindfulness and positive thinking and the law of attraction, Think Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, all that type of stuff. I got interested in that by reading this book. But it's not a heavy-handed self-help book. It's a really, really easy book to read, and it's actually pretty entertaining. So that is my number 5. I really, really enjoyed that book. I didn't give you my honorable mention, but my honorable mentions, one of my honorable mentions was going to be a book called Anthem by Ayn Rand.
Oh, I swear to God, that's on my honorable mentions.
Is it?
I love Anthem.
That is what got me into like political literature.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know what's crazy? I read that sophomore year and realized that a lot of people don't like that book. I couldn't put it down.
yeah.
Like, it was fantastic.
That led me to read The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged, who is John Galt. That's all I'll say. What's your number 5?
All right, so before I start, I
Hey.
briefly looked at my list and realized that all of my things on here are young adult literature. So I don't want you to think that I only read young adult literature. It's just that I literally teach young adults, so I'm engaged with it often.
Young adult literature is entertaining.
It's
There's nothing wrong with
fantastic.
reading
And sometimes,
young adult literature.
sometimes I need like a little breather. I need to turn my brain off and just read some stuff. All right, so my number 5, and I don't want to hear it. It's The Hunger Games, but not the whole series, not the trilogy, the first 2. Okay. The first Hunger Games, I like. It's one of the first books, not first, but one of the only books I've ever sat down and read in one sitting. Like that book is phenomenal. Like as far as entertainment wise. Now it's kind of like the writing is like it's an easy read, but entertainment wise I couldn't put it down because that concept is fantastic and I was engrossed in the story. Like kids literally killing kids in a stadium for sport. Like it was fantastic. And I know that book is kind of based off of other things, but don't worry about that. The first one is amazing. The second one is also amazing. The third one, but those first 2 books they're fantastic, and I love that it kind of brought a resurgence to young adult lit and to kids being back into novels and reading, and I just really like that, and the movies were cool too. So that's my number 5, Hunger Games, the first 2, not the whole trilogy.
Dope. So my number 4 is a book by a man named Dean Koontz, who is one of my favorite authors, and that book is called Velocity. It was the first book that I read by Dean Koontz. And when I was a side note, when I made my list, it made me realize that. So I read a lot of nonfiction as well, but it made me realize that the last 6 years of my life have been dedicated to Dean Koontz and George R.R. Martin. So it's like I've read 13 books from those 2 authors in the last 6 years. So it's like I pretty much only read Dean Koontz and George Martin. But anyway, Velocity is a really, really good book. The book is called Velocity, and this book is literally a page turner. Like, it's really exciting. You won't want to put it down once you start it. The book starts with a guy getting a note, and the note says, "If you don't take this note to the police, I will kill a lovely blonde school teacher. If you do, I will instead kill an elderly woman active in charity work. You have 6 hours to decide. The choice is yours." So the guy gets this note, and then he doesn't do anything, and the school teacher dies. And then that kind of sends him on the rest of the book. That's not a spoiler. That's the first page of the book. But it is a really good book. I highly recommend that book. So check it out.
What's the issue with Dean Koontz? I didn't realize this until semi-recently, but a lot of people don't like him.
So Dean Koontz churns out books really, really quickly. And some people feel like he's formulaic in his writing. a lot of his books have similar themes, and he's kind of tapered off a little bit in quality as he's aged. So some people are mad at that, but I don't know. I like Dean Koontz.
I also like Dean Koontz. So
I just realized I did my list out of order, but I'm gonna give the book that was supposed to be my number 5 because I was like, why is Velocity my number 4? It wasn't supposed to be my number 4. But we'll get back into it. What's your number 4?
All right, so my number 4, bringing it back again. Listen, sophomore year of high school is just a good year for me reading books. I read Anthem, and my number 4 is another book I read that year called Lord of the Flies.
What?
So
shout out to the English summer reading list.
Listen, yes, high school. That novel is everything. But here's the thing about it. When I read that book the first time, I hated it because the first 4 chapters is just like exposition setting the scene and the setting of this novel, and it's dry. Like, I don't need the details of the mountains, the ripples of the water, the foliage. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't need it. And it just drags on. But then you get into it and you see what's happening. I just realized that it's going to seem like I have like this creepy, like, I want kids to kill kids kind of thing.
That is a theme in all of your books.
I don't.
Lindsay's only criteria for a novel is: are there children and murdering?
Are they
children?
Killing other children?
Are the children? This is a book about children, but are they killing the other children? Yes.
Is it? Okay, cool. That's what I want. No, but Lord of the Flies is fantastic. However, speaking of which, because I didn't realize this, have you heard the news behind Lord of the Flies?
No.
So they did a movie adaptation of Lord of the Flies a long time ago. So recently, there have been talks that they were going to do another one. Except they're going to change something. Do you know what they're going to change, Gilbert?
They're going to make somebody black.
No. They have decided that instead of having a group of young men, that they would have a group of young women. That all of the characters would be females. And it has caused outrage and chaos in the world because the book doesn't work if it's girls. Like that's not what you need to check. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's not going to spruce it up. Literally, the author has gone on record as saying it has to be a group of boys. Like, it wouldn't have worked if it were girls. So, like, I can't remember who it was that said that they were going to do this adaptation, but they have got backlash within, like, the last week and a half for this. But that's neither here nor there. I won't be watching that new movie. The Lord of the Flies is fantastic. That's my number 4.
All right, so the book that I'm about to tell you was meant to be my number 5, and The Alchemist should have been my number 4, and Velocity should have been my number 3.
How messy is your list over there?
It's bad. So again, my number 5 is a book called The Theogony by an author named Hesiod, and you may not...
The what?
The Theogony. The Theogony means the genealogy or the birth of the gods. So this book was written in ancient Greece in about 7th century BC. So that's probably why you haven't heard of it, if you haven't heard of it. But you haven't heard of the title, but I guarantee you've heard the stories in the book, because this is where the story of Prometheus getting fire and giving it to the humans comes from. This is where the story of the Titans that recently had a movie came from. This is where Zeus comes from. This is where the Muses come from. This is where this is basically the Bible for Greek mythology, right? I feel kind of bad because I'm listing it as fiction, but to some people this was real life. But this is like where all of those stories that we talk about, this is where they originate from. Is this, like, when you talk about Greek, again, this is where you talk about Zeus was upset, so he went to go free the Titans, and then there was the War of the Gods. Like, all of those cartoons and movies that we talk about, they come from this book, and it's really, really interesting. It's actually a big poem, but it's a narrative in structure. But anyway, the book is called Hesiod, or it's written by a man named Hesiod, and it's called The Theogony, and it's really, really interesting. I nerd out about Greek mythology. It's like you talk about Hades, Poseidon, Zeus, like all of those stories are in this book.
I'm hype on Greek mythology right now because that's what we're teaching in school. You know what I think is weird? I find it weird that, I may be mistaken, but that Hercules is the only Disney movie that tackles Greek mythology. Like, is there another one? And it's like, why Hercules? Because you said
the sirens in The Little Mermaid are kind of Greek mythology-ish. But
Because isn't Homeboy?
Yep.
Poseidon's brother
Yeah,
or something
he's
like that?
Poseidon.
Okay.
So that's, I mean, they kind of borrowed from Greek mythology for the Little Mermaid, but you're right. I don't think there's.
I think that's interesting, Disney. I think you should change that, because I know a lot of my kids are talking about Percy Jackson, which isn't Disney.
That's not Disney?
But I don't think so. But they were really into it. I think it would be cool to see like an updated, recent Disney animated version or Pixar version dealing with Greek mythology. Because
lot of
the
these-
Muses and Hercules are everything. So there's that.
Yeah, a lot of the stories are kind of, you know.
I mean, but they can use it. They just have to be inspired by it. They can take liberties with the stories.
That's true.
Anyways, whatever. My number 3. All right, here we go. So my number 3 is the Harry Potter series. Okay, we've spoken about Harry Potter before. I love me some Harry. These books were important to me, but they were also interesting because I wasn't allowed to read them when I was younger. So part of the reason that they hold such a nostalgic value to me is that literally I had a 3rd grade teacher when the first Harry Potter book came out, Miss Ellingrod, shout out, who literally bought Harry Potter for me and slid it to me on my desk and said, "This is for you, Lindsay. Don't tell your mom." And like literally I read the first 2 Harry Potters in school secretively because I wasn't allowed to read them as a child. As an adult, I didn't care. I started reading them. They're fantastic. But just the engrossed world that she created, it was phenomenal. And books should already transport you to a different place, but to be a young kid and to see these things the way in which it was spelled out and to see these characters grow as I was growing, it was just an experience like no other. And that's why, like, when people like Gilbert will nerd out over Star Wars things because that was his childhood, to be able to walk through Hogwarts at Disney World and to drink a thing of butterbeer and to buy a wand and to wear my Slytherin colors, it's just a feeling that you don't get often. And I think Harry Potter was a once in a lifetime book series, and I'm glad that I got to experience that. So Harry Potter is my number 3.
Nice. My number 2 and my number 1 are really 1A and 1B, and they're both series. But I have picked a book from each of the series. So my number 2, I'm gonna say, is the Odd Thomas series, also by Dean Koontz. Specifically, the first book in the series that is titled Odd Thomas. It's hard. I hope that you haven't seen the Odd Thomas movie.
Oh no.
And if you have, just don't. If you haven't, just don't. And if you have, pretend like you haven't.
It never happened.
But the book is really good. It's really, really entertaining. It has like some cool emotional points in it. So Odd Thomas is a guy that he can see dead people, but he can't hear them. So it's like there's situations where there's like this little girl and she got murdered and she's trying to help Odd bring her murderer to justice. It's hard to explain. Just trust me, it's a really, really good book. I'm not even telling you to read the series. Just read Odd Thomas, the book. Just read the first book. It's really, really good.
Nice.
What's your number 2?
All right, number 2 for me. This is interesting. So, it's the Left Behind series. Now listen, not the adult series. I did read the Left Behind books as a child. I'm talking about the children. Are you okay? What's wrong? Gilbert is spazzing out and I don't know why.
Because my list doesn't have Animorphs or Goosebumps on it.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
When you said childhood just now,
I didn't even think about Goosebumps.
We're gonna have to do another
guys,
book list.
so this top 5 actually doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
We read every Animorphs book in the history of animals.
The Left Behind series.
Watch the shows. No, my heart hurts. Because
the Left Behind series, also known as a weird version of the Book of Revelation.
It's literally Revelation for kids. It was the weirdest thing. But if you've never read the Left Behind young adult series, maybe you should. Maybe you shouldn't. But I used to love it. Like, I remember, like, that was one of the only books that I would wait
Spoiler alert, it's about the rapture.
Spoiler alert, It's in the Bible. Just go read it. The movies are god awful, but
for the record, the book that we're recommending is the Left Behind series, not the Bible.
I mean, I would also like to recommend the Bible. I will take that back. I'm going on record as saying that everyone should read the Bible and adhere to. But anyways, Left Behind the series, fantastic.
But if you don't have time, read Left Behind.
If you don't have time to read Revelation, it's a quick fix.
Or Hesiod's the Theogony.
You know what?
Because the stories are similar.
I'm done talking. Go ahead. He just commandeered my entire...
Let's rewind.
You're garbage. No, go ahead. What's your number 2, Gilbert? What's your number 2? I'm done.
Thomas was my number 2. We're down to my number 1. My number 1 is the Song of Ice and Fire series, which is what the TV show Game of Thrones is based on. It was hard for me to pick a favorite out of the 5 books that he has released thus far. Clash of Kings was close. That is the one with the Battle of the Blackwater in it, which is really, really good. But my favorite of the Song of Ice and Fire books is A Storm of Swords. This is the book where they really dived into Jaime, like, being a decent human being. Because he gets tortured, he gets his hand cut off, and then him and Brienne kind of form a relationship, and we find out that he's not the pompous person that we thought that he was. But then also this book elicited a reaction from me that no book has ever done. So this is the book in which the Red Wedding takes place. And hopefully that hasn't been spoiled for you if you've never heard of it. But the way that, for those of you that know what the Red Wedding is, like, the book itself is introspective, obviously, right? So that scene is told from Catelyn Stark's point of view. And when you hear her thoughts unfolding about the things that are happening, it is absolutely heartbreaking. It's like I threw the book across the room. But this book, The Storm of Swords, also has Joffrey and Marjorie's wedding in it. And it has Sansa and Tyrion's wedding in it. There's lots of weddings in the Storm of Swords. Both of those, again, I'm trying not to spoil things. Both of those weddings are also interesting. But it has Jaime and Brienne fighting a bear, which doesn't happen on the show. Does that happen on the show? I don't think that happens on the show. But it's literally like epic event after epic event after epic event in this book. Like it's absolutely insane. But the Red Wedding is really the highlight of this book.
At what point in the book does the Red Wedding occur? Is it like in the middle or at the end?
It's towards the middle.
Because I may not have continued reading.
Yeah, it's towards the middle.
I wish that I had...
But it's crazy because you have to remember that there was a lot of stuff, like Game of Thrones is a political intrigue type of series. So there's a lot of stuff going up to that, and they were at the twins for a specific reason. And it's like, you're like, oh, okay, this is whatever. And then then that happens.
I wish that I had been introduced to the novels first before the show. I'm one of those people that once I see it visually, I can't go back and read it. But I can read it first and then see it visually, if that makes sense. So, I wish that I had found the novels first, because that would have been, I know that it would have been fantastic.
Sometimes it makes the show harder to enjoy, though, because they cut a lot of stuff out of the show because it doesn't make sense to show somebody's thoughts on TV.
Yeah.
But, specifically with Jaime, they've done a better job on this season of Game of Thrones. But it's I'm really, really attached to Jaime because his transformation arc in the book is really, really touching because you can literally see his thoughts as he's changing as a human being. So it's interesting. But I'm with you. So I watched the first season of Game of Thrones on TV. And then because of what happened at the end of season 1, there was a twist that had happened that I just didn't believe. Yeah. So I just bought all the books. And I was like, this is clearly not...
Explain
clearly
yourself.
Not what's going to happen, right? But anyway, I'm not going to make this a Game of Thrones podcast.
Too late.
My number 1 right now is The Song of Ice and Fire and Goosebumps and Animorphs.
So all of the books.
What's your number 1, sis?
All right, so my number 1 is this series that I have loved for so long called Blue Bloods.
Suki.
What you won't do is compare my Blue Bloods to True Blood. Let me go on a little rant real quick. True Blood, how dare you?
They rhyme.
I hate you. True Blood still hurts my heart. So Blue Bloods was a book series.
Blue Blood sound like the Great Value version of True Blood.
Anybody who's a younger child, you know the feeling that I'm feeling right now when you have an older sibling that just wants to just run over and trash and do everything that you say. And it's like sometimes Gilbert is like, man, I was such a good big brother to you. It's like you're showing right now how you bully me. Let me talk.
I'm not bullying
It's
you.
our podcast.
Go ahead.
All right, so Blue Bloods, thank you, is a book written by Melissa De La Cruz about vampires, which is why Gilbert was making vampire noises. However, it's fantastic. The way in which they describe kind of where vampires come from, I hadn't heard before as a child. So I thought it was a unique spin on it. And it's all about kind of like fallen angels that have paired up twin, like it's hard to describe without spoiling things for you, but you should read Blue Bloods. It's a book that I can't remember how I got it. I think somebody randomly gifted it to me and I was bored and read it one day when I was in like 4th grade and was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And would just read them all the time as a kid. This is probably one of the things I want more than anything to be made into a like have a television adaptation of it.
Be careful what you wish for.
But it couldn't be a movie, but it could be fantastic TV. Like, and I know that there's a possibility it would be bad, but I just think the source material is fantastic. I love it. Vampires are amazing, and I like the unique spin that they take on vampires, and it's great. So Blue Bloods, that's my number one. The whole series.
So we really like books. I need to revisit my list because Goosebumps and Animorphs weren't on it.
I literally took like a screenshot of Animorphs to send to you the other day. We apologize.
Animorphs. I'm sorry.
Animorphs. And the show.
And to there was an Animorphs TV show. I don't quite know why, but there was.
Man, podcast.
So that's it, man. This has been episode number 9.
Number 9 of EBS.
Thank you guys for listening.
We on the podcast.
Continue
EBS.
to share the podcast
we
if you can.
We love to read and talk. Here we
That's it, man. We'll be back in a fortnight, everybody.
We
so
EBS.
join us.
We are the educated black siblings. Yeah.
We don't have a theme song.
Yeah.